My friend, great to see you today.
Daniel.
And for everyone that knows you, they know you as one of the most iconic, figures in music media history. And it's incredibly impressive to the world. But what's most incredibly impressive to me is how you've been open about your, ongoing battle with sobriety. It's just incredible, your story, and it's inspired so many people to, with your journey, that people may not be aware of.
Yeah, it's important for me to share my story with everyone out there in the world and be very open about it because, a lot of people like to remain anonymous or, don't talk about that. But I think because I've been a public figure for a while, I think it's really important for me to be extremely honest with everyone. I want to come from a very honest and genuine place. And my struggles with alcoholism and drug addiction had derailed me, quite a few times. It was one of those situations in my life where, I started drinking at a very young age and did not realize that I was really susceptible and had an alcoholic gene. And, for years, I was just trying to figure out if I was doing it wrong. I'm trying to find the right combination in drinking. And it wasn't always bad. But, it's one of those things where when it starts to become, it's fun, and then it's fun with problems, and then it's causing nothing but problems in your life and making your life unmanageable, it's a very difficult thing. And it's, for me, I felt that because I've always come from a very, very honest place, that I had to show everyone and tell everyone my journey so maybe it would help another person. And that's what I've been devoting a lot of my time and effort and energy into. Music has always been my first love, more important to me than anything in the world besides my friends, my family. Obviously, I have children. But music has been the focus of my life, and I've been so blessed and fortunate to work in music all my life, the thing that drove me from the time I was a young child. And I still have the same passion I had when I was a young kid, when I was which is, to me, it's a beautiful thing because you can get very jaded. But when it comes to mental health and alcoholism and addiction, I went through a period for many years of just trying to figure out, can I do this successfully? Can I drink successfully? And, it would work for a while and then it wouldn't work, And I also came up in a time where I was a club DJ, an alternative club DJ for many years. That's how I supported myself. I was a club DJ in New Jersey and New York. And I worked on an alternative radio station, but, from a very young age, I always say that it's interesting because as a young guy in his late teens, when the drinking age was still 18, what better job in the world than to be in a club where you control music, where you meet people, and where you drink for free. So it was it was a dream job as a kid. But I never saw and really recognized the signs that I had where my drinking could get out of hand. And so it was something that I kind of went back and forth with for many years, you know what I mean? And there were drugs in my story too. I don't want to lie and say that I never did drugs. I did cocaine, I did anything. I was the kind of guy, I didn't want to be zoned out. I wanted to be anything that would give me more energy to keep on DJing and keep on listening to music, spinning records, doing whatever I was doing. So I wanted something that was bringing me up. And it was offered to me when I was in the club days, and that's when I discovered it. And at first it was very recreational, and it was occasional. And eventually it's one of those things, again, where it's an unsustainable lifestyle. And I think there's a lot of correlation, and there always has been, between addiction, alcoholism, self-medicating, and mental health. For some of us that may suffer from depression or be bipolar or have some of those other issues, we tend to self-medicate. You know what I mean? We tend to figure out, this is making me feel good right now, and it's immediate gratification. But what really happened was, I've struggled on and off over the years. I've been very, very open about that. But during the pandemic, it changed my lifestyle so much, and I know so many people went through this because I got so many letters from people about it, because I'm very open. I found myself cut off like so many other people that went through the same thing, where I was no longer going to live music shows. I was no longer going to recovery meetings. I wasn't going out to dinner with my friends, going to movies, doing all the things that you love. Because I love people and I love contact with people. I love the interaction. The beauty of living is, the ability to share incredible moments and experiences with others. You know what I mean? And I approach that part of life the way I feel about music with the way I feel about people. So it was a very, very difficult thing for me, and I mean for everyone that went through it during the pandemic. But I think for people like myself who were in recovery, it was absolutely hard because all of a sudden you didn't have those things that kept you going. So I started drinking again heavily during the pandemic when I was living by myself. I was doing some live streams and things like that and doing some shows, but my friends had noticed. They could tell by some of the things that were going on. I mean, like the way I was speaking, some of my attitude was a lot more cynical maybe than I usually am. I'm a very positive individual, like everyone else. I have problems like everyone else, but I always try to look on the half full, not half empty side of things because I believe it's just an important way to be, especially with all the negativity that's out there. I want to share my love for all people and for music in general. So, but it was one of those situations where my friends came to my aid. What happened was they realized that I had started drinking again and said, "Hey, Matt, you've been drinking again. We think you need help. We think you got to go somewhere." And so that's when he did. And a bunch of my friends did something that I didn't expect them to do. I literally reached out to Music Cares, who have been very helpful to me in the past. And I've done stuff to raise money for Music Cares over the years. Well, I knew that it was going to cost money for me to go away. I really needed to take that time. And my friends got together. And totally, I had no idea they were going to do this, but I was driving to this treatment center all the way from Los Angeles to like Sausalito, California, north of San Francisco. Me and my friend was driving me up there. It was impossible to get COVID tests then too, but you had to get one to go. We found a doctor who would do it. Halfway there, like 4 hours in, all of a sudden, I go to him, "Look, who's this? Who's a friend or angel investor who was like kind enough to lend me this money?" And he goes, "Oh no, we're starting to GoFundMe." I'm like, "What?" I go, You can't start a GoFundMe." I was like horrified, and not because I wasn't embarrassed about my struggles, but I felt really guilty about them asking for people for money during a pandemic. I was like, "You can't do that. It's people are starting." He goes, No, we're doing it. And at that point, I didn't really have any choice in the matter. And I was like, I just got to go with it. The beauty of it was that we started this thing, and so many musicians that I supported over the years or been friends with, people I'd worked with or fans, all these people donated to help me get treatment. And that was one of the most beautiful and unbelievable things. And when I was done with that 30-day treatment, right towards the end, I got to read all their comments people had written about how much I meant to them and how much they learned about music from me over the years. And it was so beautiful, it brought me to tears. I mean, I literally cried when I read those comments. I cried about it because it was just such an emotional thing for me to see that people cared that much. Because sometimes we forget people care about us, especially when we're down on ourselves, because we feel like we're failing at those things when we're struggling with addiction and alcoholism. So it was a pretty incredible experience for me. And, since then, I've been clean and sober for 2 years and 4 months. I've stayed clean and sober, and the outpouring of love and support was unbelievable. It's amazing how good, people don't realize how good others are and how much people care, and sometimes. One time, one of my old bosses said to me, "Matt, when are you going to learn to love yourself as much as we love you, man?" And, and I thought about that, and it was an absolute beautiful thing to say, but I didn't understand it at the time. I learned that I had to take self-care and take everything seriously, all mental health, alcoholism, addiction. I had to look at all of that and say, you know what? it's important enough to me, for the people who care about me and love me, and to myself, so I can have a good quality of life. So I wanted to take that message to other people for a long time. And, I've been very open about my journey, like literally on social media and everywhere. And I talk about this because I think it's so important for people to know and take the stigma away from addiction, alcoholism, and mental health issues. Because so many people during that pandemic and, all the time, deal with these kind of things. And, it breaks my heart a lot when I see, young people dying from fentanyl and just how really tough things have gotten for young people out there today. And even people that are, that I know. I've seen people that I know, like in entertainment, comedians and musicians who thought they were doing cocaine and did fentanyl, and they died from 2 granules of that. And it's just, that breaks my heart, So, I don't know, man. I just want to be a positive light. I think it's so important to unite people. There's enough division, you know what I mean, through politics and many other things. I think uniting people, also letting people know that they're loved and they're cared about, and that there are other ways of living and doing well, and you're worth it, and you know what I mean? And you're not alone. It's the number one thing to remember. The end of David Bowie's Rock and Roll Suicide, when you hear Bowie, scream, "You're not alone," like that's one of my favorite moments ever recorded in the song, because it's so true. It just rings so true. And people realize they're not alone, and there is another way with mental health issues, with alcoholism, with drug addiction. There are people out there, and there are organizations that will support you, but there's also a group of people. And so that's really that's kind of my story in a nutshell.
Beautiful, man. And the thing is that what I know is the most important thing is you have such a strong support network of people that love and care about you, and you mean a lot too. And the GoFundMe says it all. People really care. People don't donate just they care. They do it because they care, and that should it's remarkable.
And it's changed my life. Like I said, I passed 2 years and 4 months. And I let people know on social media every single month that I'm sober and clean another month. So they can see, and it affects people in a very positive way, because it makes them think about it, and then they'll share with me how much time they have or if they're struggling. And that's the thing, I want to let people know they're not alone. And it can be done, because at any age, I'm not a young dude, I've been around for a while, but it can be done, and I think that's the most important thing. And it's important for young people to know, and then people that are older that think they're trapped and that they can't live, like find another way to live their life, and get help, and use the incredible community of people standing together and working together and uniting. That's the beauty. So I'm very grateful, man. I'm grateful every day.
You're an inspiration to us all. Well, thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks, bud. Thanks for stopping by, and got a big night of music ahead of us, don't we?
Yeah, we absolutely do, Daniel. There's so much great music, I loved seeing Crowded House with Eddie Vedder get up there. First they did Weather With You, and then they did, World Where You Live and I Got You by Split Ends. It was so great. So we've been working a lot here, but it's those musical moments that just takes me away. Man, when I see a performance of a song that I love, or an artist that I love, and they're just doing something that's so important to me, that's there's no greater feeling in the world. Music gives you that,
Totally does.
So those are the things that give me everything in life. The music is the most powerful thing. It unites, and I got gratitude every day. Grateful to be here.